doesn't love a yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right? Just, there's something about and most of us, many of us went to school on the yellow school bus, right? And it's part of our experience growing up. It's part of, a nostalgia and a memory of...
It's still absolutely crazy to me that the Democratic Party, all their big donors and whatnot, decided that it would be a good idea to force the sitting president of the United States off the presidential ticket and install this woman who in 2020 couldn't even make it to Iowa, never got a primary vote at all whatsoever, in his place, in his position, and then tried to pretend that she was a rock star that was going to lead us to the future, lead us forward, and just was going to be the bestest presidential candidate. Because right there, as you see, she always produced idiotic and ridiculous word salad. Now, of course, I open up with this particular clip not just for the comedic value of it, but because it's actually related to a Biden administration policy where they would try to greenify school buses across the country as a mechanism to fight global warming, fight climate change, because climate change is the worst thing and we need to infuse the climate change agenda into absolutely everything. And of course, this is going to involve electric buses. And to me, this is one of the more hilarious stories, especially since we recently got a fake story from Rachel Maddow from the left-wing media about a supposed contract that the evil orange man was giving Elon Musk as a kickback for $400 million for armored Teslas, when of course that contract also turned out to be from the Biden administration. So we're going to examine some of the other electric vehicle mandates that the Biden administration put forward, because what you'll find out is that these programs are ill-conceived, stupid, and downright dangerous for our children's. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you to everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticeword.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
The school experience is changing. According to a Federal Highway Administration survey from last year, 28% of U.S. students take a school bus. That's down 8% from the previous survey in 2017, and comes at a time when many districts are struggling to hire bus drivers.
So right off the top, you get a little bit of the numbers that we're dealing with, and according to the federal government's Highway Association, about 28% of students in the United States of America take the bus in order to get to school. Now, of course, this is down since 2017, which is not all that surprising, but also in addition to that, we have issues with school bus drivers in that there's a shortage of them in all these different districts. So even for the students, the nearly 30% that take the bus, it's often a struggle and can be expensive in order to take these kids to and from school. However, of course, instead of addressing that, instead of incentivizing training of school bus drivers or anything of the sort,
those bus schedules are supposed to be dependable, but in some districts, the buses themselves are the big issue. Good evening, I'm Brian Yacono. Amanda Hill is off tonight. Several districts across Maine have been awarded electric school buses through the Environmental Protection Agency's Clean School Bus program. However, some have been experiencing malfunctions and safety concerns.
The Biden administration's EPA decided that it would be a good idea to try to electrify the school bus fleet because we need electric vehicles absolutely everywhere in this country, even in places where the weather just does not support these electric vehicles.
News Center Maine's Katie Delaney tonight shows us how EV buses are faring in Winthrop.
When Winthrop Public Schools were awarded 4 electric school buses in June 2023,
we thought it was really exciting. I mean, it was really cool.
But as the bumps in the road increase,
our confidence is waning in these particular electric buses.
Look, I want to make something 100% clear for everybody out there in the audience. I'm not someone who's generally just against electric vehicles because ew, electric, and I hate the technology or anything of the sort. I actually think there's a lot of benefits to electric vehicles, to owning an electric vehicle like a Tesla, which is a car that I've actually test driven, and some of my friends actually do own Tesla. Some of my friends in the media space. I don't think I know anybody in real life that actually owns a Tesla. That being said, they definitely have flaws, and one of the flaws of electric vehicles overall that Tesla seems to mitigate the best out of all the companies is the fact that when you get below a certain temperature, the battery power of said vehicle actually ends up suffering dramatically and you lose a lot of range. And I've seen people report that cold weather for an electric vehicle is something like under 60 degrees. Now, those of you who live in Florida, Texas, Arizona, the south of the United States, San Diego, whatever, you might be saying to yourself, well, under under 60 degrees is a bit chilly, but for most of the country, it's under 60 degrees for the majority of the year. And even when it's not, it's hovering in and around that point. So if you lose a lot of range in cold weather, that means that electric vehicles are not necessarily the best thing suited to you if you live in a cold weather environment. So of course, the Biden administration's EPA, in their infinite wisdom, decided that they were going to give 4 electric school buses to a school district in the state of Maine. And remember, the school year runs the entire course of the winter, and Maine is one of our most northern states in the entire union. So you can figure that this turned out to be an absolute disaster, but guess what? You don't have to figure that out for yourself, because I'm going to show you that it was a disaster.
Since getting the buses, the district has experienced issues. The biggest malfunction happened last December when a bus shut down during a run. When Winthrop Transportation Director Joshua Wheeler tried to drive the bus back to school, it happened again.
Put it off into the side of the road into a snowbank and to help bring me to a stop before I came into an intersection.
Yeah, that sounds pretty disastrous. And by the way, it sounds like in this particular run, this guy was on his way to pick up children. It didn't seem like he actually had children on the bus. But as you heard, the bus ended up shutting down on the way out. The guy was able to get the bus started again. It ended up shutting down again when he was heading back to school. And as a way to stop himself from barreling into an intersection, he ended up having to pull the bus, which was still in motion, into a snowbank in order to get it to stop. Again, this does not exactly inspire confidence from parents on whether or not it's safe to put their kids on these particular school buses, but apparently, according to the EPA, giving a juicy government contract to whatever company makes these and forcing them on this school district or gifting them to this school district seem like a swell idea. And of course, the result of this, the consequence of this, is that they ended up getting rid of their other buses. They ended up having other problems down the line, because after this particular bus ended up failing, they had to stop the running of these models as a safety precaution.
Now they've been off the roads since.
Because when you're transporting other people's kids and you have such a dire malfunction like this, obviously you can't keep operating with these vehicles. But again, that was just a major incident. There were minor incidents all throughout the time that they had this contract. And to be clear, this segment was produced in December of 2024. They got the buses in July of 2023. So this was within the first year of receiving these 4 green buses.
After the incident, they sent the buses back to the manufacturer, Lion Electric, to be fixed, but they still failed inspections. Even after additional repairs to pass inspection, the buses are still experiencing mechanical issues.
So yeah, they end up trying to return the buses to the manufacturer in order to get them fixed. The buses get sent back to the school district, and they still failed the safety test. They're still absolutely dangerous vehicles. They're still inoperable for the school district. So now they're trying to respond to them, but they're having financial troubles at the company, probably because their products aren't very good. And the company has responded by laying off 400 people and slowing down all of their outward communications to this particular school district. Now, I do think it is important for you guys to understand that this is a Canadian-based company, so the EPA decided not to buy American in this particular regard, decided to buy Canadian.
This also comes as Lion Electric is facing increasing financial troubles, temporarily laying off 400 employees this month. Wheeler says this has made Lion Electric slow to respond.
And I also want to mention, if I haven't already, that this particular video, based on the troubles that this company was having, was published on December 16th of 2024. Now, the reason I mention that, the reason I want to bring that up, is because on December 19th of 2024, they ended up filing the equivalent of Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the nation of Canada in order to protect their assets, because the company is complete garbage. Again, a total boondoggle fake company propped up by the US government in order to provide electric school buses to greenify the environment, to save us from global warming, when in reality you get non-working buses that are very dangerous for children, and this is how the government spends your money.
So I do think that some of the issues that we're seeing here are manufacturer specific.
We reached out to Lion Electric for comment but did not hear back. Through the Clean School Bus program, schools must use the vehicles for 5 years, so the district is not giving up.
We believe in electric buses and we want to be using them. And that's really our hope, is to have them on the road.
And this is probably one of my favorite things about this kind of program, because it sounds good on its surface. It sounds sensible, it sounds logical, it sounds reasonable. The federal government, the EPA, comes up to you and they say, hey, look, we're going to give you 4 brand new electric school buses for free. You're going to enjoy them. You're going to love them. You're going to take your kids to and from the school. It's going to be absolutely amazing in every possible way.
Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus?
Hello, my name is Rick Lee. Today, I'm at our 900,000 square foot Line Electric assembly plant.
Now, of course, they don't really work in the environment that you're in. You're going to have electric blankets in order to warm the battery, in order to get these things started. There's no way your school district is going to be able to operate these buses due to the various different safety concerns. But as a condition of you accepting these buses, you're going to have to promise that you'll use them for 5 years. So again, they end up getting this crap product for free. Sounds too good to be true. Turns out it is too good to be true. And in addition to that, the EPA adds a mandate forcing them to use it for at least the next 5 years. And that, of course, creates a bunch of different problems when in under a year or a little over a year, all 4 buses are completely out of service. The manufacturer has gone bankrupt. And of course, they're way too dangerous for kids to use them. And had the Biden administration remained in power, guess what? This school would have suffered the consequences, the fines and fees from the EPA for not complying with taking this grant from the federal government. And it's a disaster in every possible way.
And while other school districts like Winthrop have had technical difficulties with their electric school buses, others have been successful. Last month, MS-80 13, the Bingham-Moscow district, said their school bus has been reliable for their shorter routes.
So one of my favorite things is the way that this local news segment tries to mitigate the problems with this particular EPA program. And this guy says, oh, well, while there have been a lot of problems in other areas, not just this particular school district, at least one school district that we talked to says that these buses have been very reliable for shorter routes. And this, of course, is due to the issues with the battery and the cold weather and all that. And again, if you're trying to replace the electric bus fleet and all that, then you should be able to run it for better than just the short routes. You should be able to run it for longer periods of time, or better yet, maybe just don't replace them because there's poisonous heavy metals in those particular batteries, and these poorly manufactured vehicles are just going to produce waste. Not to mention you spend all this money charging them if you don't have an appropriate energy infrastructure in order to do so. That can actually be dirtier than if you were to just have a diesel engine bus. But yeah, this is an absolutely disastrous program from the Biden administration, and hopefully something that will be targeted for removal by Lee Zeldin, who has been put in as the head of the EPA, which is the architect behind this terrible program. Now, of course, I want to know what you guys think about all of this down in the comments below. If you liked the video, show me by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me with support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the electric bus disaster. Till next time.